does a sovereign state define a threat? What variables does it then use to construct the nature of the threat? Is it an actual threat resulting from geographical proximity, or is it perception-based, where the preservation of his communal identity is threatened? To what degree does the reality of history assist in the determination of the threat?
Pakistan faces, I think, an actual threat, has done for the last 62 years. This threat, as I said, undulates. Sometimes it's acute, sometimes it is not. But the threat is there. It's not a perceived threat, in my opinion. It is a threat that needs to be taken into account.
Pakistan has lived in the shadow of India in a very complex relationship which is rooted in history, the hostility of history, as well as, I think, three factors define the relationship. One, the history itself of conflict. There have been 3 wars and several near ones. Secondly, there is a history of unresolved disputes, big ones and small ones. The 2 countries have not been able to resolve any one of them. And thirdly, current military postures which create a certain threat perception in Pakistan.
Well, I don't think the threat that we talk about, I think is, our approach is not realistic. We've been obsessed with the threat from India. There are other things to do, and all the wars we have started with India, they never started one. So I'm not one of those who think that we face a threat from India.
The luxury of hindsight allows us to conclude that a hastily and controversially scripted partition plan essentially led to multiple issues mired in negativity. For some, the partition was an honorable plan to accommodate 2 distinct religious identities. For others, it was upsetting the concept of the whole, that is, Mother India.
I think the weakness of Pakistan in the initial stage of its formation made Pakistan very vulnerable to Indian threat. And it was that vulnerability that India invaded Kashmir. And contrary to the decision of the partition, the principles of partition, it occupied Kashmir and the dispute continues to linger on.
When we became independent in 1947, there was very clearly statements from the highest level in India, from the Congress Party stalwarts, Nehru, his sister, Patel, the hard man, all of them saying that we had agreed to partition only to see the back of the British, and that this partition, in other words, was an aberration, and that it needed to be undone, and that Pakistan should return to Mother India, as it were. These statements were very, very provocative for a new nation. And at the same time, the Kashmir issue developed. And given these 2 factors, there was a great deal of combustion apparent in Pakistan-India relations. And the threat from India, as a result of these statements by Congress leaders and by what was happening in Kashmir, was very significant. I think, as you put it earlier, the threat from the East was there, and it was something very, very relevant and likely to happen anytime.
There is a feeling that among a lot of Indian intellectuals that what happened in 1947 was a division of Mother India. that India was one whole concept. And you can see that how history has been distorted, that our father of the nation, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, has been demonized. In Pakistan, you can praise Gandhi and Nehru, and it won't hurt you politically. In India, when L.K. Advani came to Pakistan on our invitation in 2005, and he praised the Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah legitimately, he was penalized. He lost his job as the leader of the Congress, of the leader of the BJP, and then the Congress followed suit. So you can see that even in an open democratic society like India, there are certain humps they're not willing to cross. One of them is the Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Praise for him is forbidden, virtually, in the media or in the scholastic circle or political circle.
Obviously, you can't discount the fact that things were said, things happened, that mistrust existed. And that's not just because of what happened at partition, it's about how the gap grew between the Muslim League and the Congress before partition, right? In this sort of attempt to come up with a power sharing arrangement. But I do believe at the same time that the extent of the threat that we have come to take for granted, the Pakistan state ideology is essentially an anti-India state ideology. It's not, it doesn't have any, it's a negative, so it's a negation of rather than something that stands on its own. And I think that is, without doubt, has been a threat that's been cultivated by the establishment.